I for sure don't look like someone cheating during the job interview to get my first data science job, so don't get me wrong. I did take machine learning specialization from deep learning AI on Coursera, and I also did a couple of machine learning projects to showcase my data science skills. And for those of you who are familiar with my previous several videos, you get to know that I actually got job referral from my friend, but these are not full picture of the truth, because at the end of the day, you actually only rely on yourself to pass job interview and get the offer, right? And this is exactly what I want to talk about today. And I'm going to talk about how I cheat with Chatgpt to get my first data science job. And without further ado, let's jump into it. So you usually have 3 to 4 rounds of data science interviews depending on which companies you apply for. And these are firstly behavioral session, and recruiters or hiring managers may ask you some questions like how do you see yourself in 5 years, or what's your advantage, and basically you just need to use your common sense, and this is definitely not the focus of today's video. And secondly, technical session, where the hiring manager checks your knowledge in theory. For example, they might ask you, can you tell me 5 assumptions of linear regression, or which metrics are you going to use to check your model performance? And if you're lucky enough to pass a technical session, you'll be moving into the coding test, and you'll be given a data set and around 10 questions to solve within the time limit. And if you're lucky enough to pass everything, they will give you offer. So in this part of the video, I will mainly focus on how I use Chatgpt to help me pass a technical interview. But first of all, I think it's very, very important to know which types of knowledge you will be tested when applying to data science role. And if you have no idea, I think don't worry about it. You just simply need to go to a LinkedIn page and copy paste job description and qualifications for some potential candidates and input them into Chatgpt. You can write a prompt like this. These are job description and qualifications of data science role I want to apply. And judging from these criteria, just tell me which areas of knowledge I need to prepare. And you don't necessarily need to provide Chatgpt with perfect prompt to get the best answer. Anyway, I think the basic idea here is just to give yourself a roadmap about where to go. And here, let me use myself as an example to explain how it works. So at the time, I applied to a junior data science role in the banking sector. And I gave Chatgpt the job description and qualifications for a potential candidate, but I also Googled it, right? And it turns out I need to prepare, firstly, time series analysis. And that's because time series models are very popular and widely used in the financial industry. And besides that, of course, probability and the statistics, and also programming knowledge, especially in Python and R, but not very SQL for data scientists in the financial industry. And the next one, probably a bit of machine learning. But since this is a data science role in the banking sector, I definitely also need to prepare, finance and risk management. And in the next steps, I was Googling around to search for like the top 10 or top 20 most popular and important questions for a junior data scientist. And it turns out these are like the top questions will be asked in time series analysis, probability and statistics, programming in Python and R, machine learning, finance, and risk management. And it took me a while to absorb this knowledge before getting back to Chatgpt. Then in the next step, you can provide Chatgpt with prompt like this. Hi, Chat. Based on the job description and qualification of a junior data science role I sent to you last time, please ask me 10 questions in time series analysis to test my knowledge. Then you can write down your answers to these questions, but that's not all. You can add one more sentence like this. Please rate my answer to these questions on the scale from 0 to 10 and give me a final average score. So at the end of the day, you can get a final score from Chatgpt to see whether you did a good job or not. And of course, this is just an example in time series analysis, and you need to repeat this step over and over again for other types of questions in probability, statistics, programming, finance, and risk management, etc., as I mentioned before. So at the time, I was using Chatgpt 3.5, but right now you can use the latest version of Chatgpt that supports voice messages and conversation as if this is the real, job interview. So if you are just too lazy to type, and I believe that this might work pretty well for you. Hey Chad, I currently preparing for junior data science job interview. Could you please ask me 10 random questions in machine learning, and please start with the first one?
Absolutely, let's dive in. Here's the first question. What is the bias variance trade-off in machine learning?
Well, I think the bias variance trade-off implies that as we increase the complexity of a model, its variance decreases and its bias increases. Conversely, if we decrease the model complexity, its variance increases but its bias decreases. So this is my answer to your question. Please give me a score from 0 to 10 to see how good my understanding is.
That's a great explanation. I'd give you a 9 out of 10 for that. You've covered the key concepts well. Ready for the next question?
Thank you, not next. So let's imagine these are the average scores of all of these areas you got from Chatgpt, and I think in the next steps you may as well put them in the graph to see what you did well and what still needs to be improved. And for example, if you get a relatively lower score in probability and the statistics, you may as well go back to Chatgpt and ask it to generate more questions until you get comfortable with it. And in this part of the video, I will share how Chatgpt helped me in the coding test. So for those of you who haven't experienced any coding test during the job interview, don't worry about it. It's not like rocket science. You basically need to know data wrangling, data visualization, and data manipulation to solve some problems in either Python or R. And at the time, it was Python in my case. So if you're going to have a coding test in Python, you definitely need to know some basic functions in NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, or Seaborn. And by the way, I think it's worthwhile to mention that you don't need to solve all of the questions to get the offer. And in my case, I didn't know a shit about Python. Even 2 weeks before the job interview, then I quickly Googled it and downloaded a textbook which is called Python for Data Science Handbook, and quickly learned some basic functions before it was too late. So in terms of the coding test from Chatgpt, you can just use some building data set called Titanic or Planet to do some practice. And at the time, I gave Chatgpt this prompt. Based on the building dataset called Titanic in Python, give me roughly 10 questions to test my knowledge in data wrangling, data manipulation, data visualization, linear regression, etc. And don't forget to add one more sentence like this. Please increase the level of difficulty in all of these questions, because this is usually what the case in a real coding test. You usually get the easiest question in the very beginning, like for example, uploading data sets, changing column name, etc. And the last one is usually the hardest to solve. And in my point of view, in this part, I didn't really ask Chatgpt for feedback, because in terms of the coding test, I feel it's like if you solve it, you solve it. If you don't solve it, and that's it. But I mean, it's totally fine if you get stuck and ask Chatgpt to generate some code to help you solve it, or some of the questions just waste you too much time, and you can also ask Chatgpt to optimize your code. And that's all of my experience of using Chatgpt to cheat for a job interview. But one more thing, don't cheat. Don't really cheat during the job interview. It's just not worth it. It kind of reminds me of some funny videos that you lie on your resume, and that's how you end up in your real work.
I'm sad to announce that our country is in an economic crisis.
没有钱。
This is a big problem and could affect the state of worldwide economics as we know it.
问题很大。
And with no resources left, our food has also been contaminated with diseases and has become inedible.
冰淇淋不好吃。
Thank you.
对不起。